636, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends. How are you? All right, so I want to do something, Joan, that I haven't done in years.
Okay.
I want to do something that I used to when I was in the midday. I used to do this thing, and it was called I Report, You Decide. So what I do is I to the best that I can, give a non-biased approach to a topic. I give both sides, and then I want the good people of WTN Nation to decide how they feel about it. Because usually, talk show hosts, it's all about our opinion, right? But it's also about your opinion. And so I want to know how people feel about the fact that the state of Tennessee is considering raising the interest cap on these payday loans. Now, that is our daily Dan poll question as well. You go to YouTube and you watch us on YouTube, and you can take the daily Dan poll. And so I'm going to open up the phone lines right now, and I'm going to tell you the story. And I want to know what you think about this, because I can see both sides to this story. So the phone number is 615-737-9986. Also, some big Doge news coming up as well here on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. So we're talking about this earlier in the 5 o'clock hour. And I do, again, not to belabor the point, but I see this from both sides, where these payday loan places, you know what these are, right? So you typically find these places in lower income neighborhoods. Let's just say that way. There's a lot of them in Memphis. And so what basically it is if you are $1,000 short and you need $1,000, then you can go into one of these places and they'll give you $1,000 until payday. Then when payday comes, you've got to pay them back the $1,000, but you also have to pay a boatload of interest. Now, the reason why I find this interesting is because there is disagreement among Republicans in the state as to whether or not we should allow these companies to increase the interest rates on those loans. And so right now, if they are allowed to do, these companies, if they're allowed to do what some Republicans want them to be able to do, which is raise their interest rate up to like 36%, then if you borrow $1,000, then they're going to charge you an additional $360 in interest, not to mention a whole bunch of fees. And so people are freaking out about this, because this is, a lot of people, and I would say that it is predatory, because these are people that don't have good credit, and they're also incredibly low income. And so these places are very controversial. And so now there is a bill in the state legislature that would allow these places to increase those interest rates. This is from Fox 17. Listen.
Bill that would raise the interest rate ceiling. Lenders across the state can charge customers like you. Right now, the cap is set at 30%. The bill, though, being considered, would increase that number to 36%. Critics say payday loans like this prey on low-income earners with bad credit. But supporters, which include House Majority Leader William Lamberth, say these loans are often a lifeline for people going through tough times. And Lamberth says the companies that offer these loans have to make a profit.
For those entities to exist, sometimes we have to continue to increase those rates to keep up with inflation, to keep up with just the business demands that are out there. But the trick is that even at a higher interest rate, at least it's available for folks that do not have good credit.
Now, Representative Lamberth is one of the co-sponsors of the bill. It also has the support of leadership in the state Senate.
In other words, this is probably going to pass. SB 694 would raise that interest rate cap on some of these loans, meaning that getting a quick loan till payday is going to be a lot more expensive. The Tennessean says this: the bill would allow these outfits to increase their maximum interest rate from 24 to 36% on personal loans over $5,000, with an increased cap of 36% interest rate on loans less than $5,000. And again, don't forget those fees. In other words, the state is going to allow these companies that are already charging massive interest and fees on loans to low-income, no-credit folks. They're going to be even more expensive. So again, what I was saying. To boil all this down, it is March 10th. You need $1,000 so that you don't get kicked out of your apartment because rent was due on the 1st. You go to one of these payday loan places, you borrow that $1,000, but now you've got to pay back 36%, which is an extra $360. So now you have even more debt, and that just adds to the cycle of debt. Is this fair? If you're a conservative, if you're a Republican in the state of Tennessee, do you think that this is something the Republicans should do? Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson, Republican out of Franklin, said the bill will provide, quote, greater access to credit for some of those who are in the most dire of circumstances. Johnson argued it is difficult to reestablish financial credit without access to credit, but some people are in financial situations where they can't open a credit card or go to a local bank for a loan. Senator Johnson, Senate Majority Leader, is absolutely right. You are dealing with people who these payday loans are a lifeline. And if it wasn't for these payday loans, guess what? A lot of these people would be out on the street. What do you think? Democrats, by the way, are not happy about this. Should the state of Tennessee increase that interest cap? 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. I want to know what you think. Democrats, by the way, are not happy that the Republicans want to do this. And by the way, there's some Republicans that are also not happy about this. People say, you know what, these folks that are going for these loans, they're typically unbanked, the most financially insecure folks across the state. And our legislature, according to Democrats, and our legislature felt it was a good idea to make it more expensive for them to be able to borrow money, says Senate Minority Leader Ramesh Akbari, Democrat out of Memphis. I'm not a big fan of these places. I do believe that they are predatory. It does increase the cycle of poverty. But here's the thing. Where can these folks go? This is my point. Where can these people go? If they are desperate, they've got kids, and they have no other place to go, and if they can make it to payday, they're going to be okay. So if they're desperate and they need that money, they can get it from these places. But a lot of folks basically call this legalized loan sharking. I spoke to no less than 3 of my Republican friends over the weekend because I myself am torn on this. I kid you not, friends. All 3 of them said this is legalized loan sharking. And by the way, when Republicans say, well, these places, they've got to be able to make money. Oh, they make money. They absolutely make money. One of, if not the biggest in the state, is a place called Advance Financial. And they made, according to estimates, $515 million across America. They're based in Tennessee. Some say that they generated here in the state of Tennessee around $300 million just in our state, which is their home base. And so you talk to some folks, it is interesting. You talk to some folks and they say that these places are a godsend. Other folks actually will say that they're devil sent. So I report, you decide. What do you think? I got full phone lines. If you hear somebody drop off, you can call right back. 615-737-9986. Time to check the roads on WTN. Therefore, today, 65 degrees and sunny. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. It is 38 degrees. So I've posed the question to you. I've reported. Now I want you to decide. You tell me what you think. Anthony is calling from Nashville on WTN. Anthony, thanks for calling in. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it should be increased because that's how they make their money. And again, that's a big risk that you're asking someone else to take with their own money, and you're putting it to people who don't have great credit. So it doesn't necessarily coordinate with untrustworthiness, but again, that's often what it is. So I don't see why they shouldn't be able to increase it. So that's just me anyway.
Yep. No, you know what, Anthony? And you bring up a very rational point, which is these are high-risk loans. And so what happens is you have all of these people who are paying exorbitant interest rates. Part of that is that they have to charge these exorbitant interest rates because there's a lot of folks that may not pay these loans back. So,
and again, they don't have to. It's not like they're forced to do it. Even though they put in a position where they have to take it, they don't have to take it in a way. If you know what I mean? It's not like.
Yep, I know exactly what you mean, Anthony, and thank you very much for the call. Appreciate it. This is James calling from the Borough on WTN. Hey, James, go ahead.
Hey, Dan, this is James. Half of these institutions are backed up by title loans and all this. So Anthony's saying that they won't get their money back. No, most of these are backed up by, like I said, title loans, other ways of paying. They usually got their money within. They know they're going to get their money.
So are you for or against this, James? You're against
these
it.
Are the lowest. These people in the worst spots in their life are having to do these. Not that they want to. They have to. So yes, no, they don't need it. They're already getting picked off by government. No more. No, sir.
Do you know, James? Do you know what the payday loan capital of America is?
30. Well, I don't know about America, but you said 30% here in the state of Tennessee. That is tremendous.
Memphis,
that is more than enough for them to be making money.
Yeah, you got these things in Memphis all over the place, and Memphis is considered the payday loan capital of the world. Thank you very much for playing along. Roger is on line 3 on WTN. Hey, Roger, go ahead.
Hey, Dan. No, this whole thing, they talk like it's hard for them to make money. Why is a new one opening every single week, it seems like? On your way into work, when you get to the intersection off of your road and you get to Lebanon Road, what's right across the street to the left? It's the same.
I know exactly what you're talking about. You know where I live. Yeah, you're right.
I do know where you live. But the thing is how many of them are there? If you turn left and go to McDonald's, how many are you going to pass between there and McDonald's? That's not even a mile. These people are making money, or they wouldn't be in it.
So let me ask you, are you against it because there's too many, or are you against it because they're predatory?
I'm against it because it's predatory. They are making a set percentage interest rate. Yeah. If they have to go up on it and up on it and up on it, then they're like the federal government. It doesn't take more money to make more money. Yeah. Like that.
All right, Roger, thank you very much for the call. Here's the other thing. You're not going to win any friends within this community if you're going to allow these payday loan companies to raise that interest rate so much. You're not going to win a lot of friends that way. Billy is on, and a lot of those folks voted for Donald Trump. Billy's on line 4 on WTN. Billy, go ahead.
I think it's 100% predatory because we're talking about the percentage rate that they charge. They can charge 1,000% percentage rate, and people are so desperate, they're going to take it anyway. But what you're not talking about, you're talking about the interest rate. I get these live checks sent to the mail all the time. I tear them up because I don't need them, but it says whatever the percentage rate is. But what you're not talking about is the hidden fees. If I take out a $1,000 loan, I'm paying back $2,000. So that interest rate doesn't add up. So what they're not telling you and what they don't put in the check and the fine print on the back of how much the fees are. Because if I borrow $1,000, I'm paying back $2,000. That's 100% interest rate.
Yeah, because I did mention the fees, and you're right. I've been lucky enough. I've never had to do this, but I do have friends that have had to go through this, and it is predatory and it is awful. And Billy, I thank you for the call. Joe's in Manchester on WTN. Joe, go ahead.
Yeah, it's predatory. I've used them before because I had to.
Yeah.
You add in the fees. Some of these loans are 200-300% interest, and it's a trap. You get stuck because you're desperate and need the money.
Yep.
You can't never get it paid back. You got to keep taking the loan out again and again. But you add in the fees and everything, it's crazy. I mean, it's good that people have something in their lifeline, but it's definitely predatory. Definitely predatory. You'd be better off with a loan shark.
Well, Joe, let me ask you though. You're right. I believe that it is predatory. What would you have done if those places weren't available?
I would have probably been screwed.
That's the conundrum, right? But you're right.
Right.
I just look at the numbers. One of these companies, $550 million and $300 million here in the state of Tennessee. So
yeah, they're making money. It's definitely, and most of the loans are actually secured. We have to write a check. It's like they hold a check for you, or give them a car title loan.
I was going to say, let's also
collateral.
Yep. Let's also not forget the car title loans. Thank you very much, Joe. I appreciate it. Tommy's online. Go ahead.
Yeah, Dan, I just want to say I got a neighbor that owns one of them places, and she made her money, but she also, it's right down in Mount Juliet. She made her money, but y'all don't understand it. In Mount Juliet, that rent goes up on the builders, and they got a lot to pay. So I agree with it going up a little bit. I know senior citizens that depend on that every month to pay their damn water bill, electric bill.
Yep.
So if they pay it right away, it's not that bad, I don't think.
Well,
that's my opinion.
It's 36% if this bill goes through, and I believe that it will. And I appreciate the call. Real quickly, let's get to Jessica on the line here, line 5. Jessica, go ahead. Are you for or against it?
I'm definitely against it. I mean, these loans, they've put me into bankruptcy, and I mean, the percentage on them is just insane. I don't know anybody does it.
And the problem is people keep doing it, and they can go to different ones as well. So yeah, and they put you into bankruptcy. You had been doing these for a while, and
well, I mean, I needed it because I had lost my job, and I mean, I thought I'd be able to find a job soon enough, and next thing I know, I mean, I was like 4 or 5 loans in, and there was just no way of getting out of it.
All right, Jessica, thank you very much for the call, and I hope you're in better times. It's tough. See, what did I tell you? And Joan, so far, and hey, KGB, tell folks, I'll try to take some of their calls after this next break as well, before the news. I'm at 6 against and only 2 for. So we'll continue to take some of your calls here on Super Talk. And see, it's one of those issues where, there's conservatives that want to do this in the state of Tennessee, but my not so scientific poll shows that the people that are conservative and listen to this radio station don't actually like it. 6:59, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk. Real quickly, I want to say hello to Anonymous. You used to work at one of these payday loan places. You got any input on this?
Morning, Dan. Yeah, they don't call it a payday loan. Advanced Financial calls it a flex loan, and I think most of your viewers, 30 or 36% would be kind. The flex loans at 269% compounded daily, and that's in the paperwork the client or the customer is given at the time they take out the loan. Most don't read it because they are much less fortunate than most of us, and they need the money. But it's compounded daily at 269%, and that's already went through the Tennessee House.
How can people possibly pay that back? If you've worked at one of these places, some of these stories have got to be absolutely heartbreaking. Thank you very much for the calls. I appreciate it. Got a lot more straight ahead. Number one, we have some big news coming out of the State Department.